my pleasure to welcome you here to the Clark Howard Show with a special edition where it's all about your empowerment with knowledge that helps you make decisions that normally you don't know how to make. I'm not talking about my normal financial empowerment. We're doing a special interview with technology expert Kim Komando, who will help you in ways to protect yourself from data breaches, who will help you make decisions in purchasing technology and knowing how to do basic things with devices we use every day to keep you safe from people who mean you harm. So here we go. Here's my interview with Kim Komando. I am so excited about this special opportunity I have to speak with one of the most wonderful, talented people. It is my pleasure to know the great, the one, the only Kim Komando, who has more knowledge about technology in her pinky than I'll ever have in my whole body. But that's not what makes Kim special. It's her ability to explain complicated things in the most simple way. And so, Kim Komando, I am so excited to have an opportunity to have you join me here on my podcast, on my show, because I just love reading your columns, reading your stuff. And could you just lay out for a second before we hop into everything we're going to talk about, what all the ways are that people can find your expertise where you declutter their lives about how to use technology and what to know about it?
Well, number one, thank you for having me, Clark. It's an honor and a privilege. It is. You know, when it comes to anybody saving money, you're the guy. I mean, you're just it. Okay, it doesn't matter what platform it's on and what you're talking about.
Thank you.
So I have 2 daily shows. Daily Tech Update, Life Hack, and then I do a 3-hour weekend show, all caller driven, meaning, you know, we don't have any special guests or infomercials or anything like that. All total, the show's around 510 radio stations. And I will say that we are not part of any big network. I actually started West Star Talk Radio and the Kim Komando Show, overnight success 25 years ago. Okay. And I'm proud to say, Clark, we're speaking of money. I have no debt and I have no investors. Yes.
That's fantastic.
And of course, we have a busy website at komando.com, and that's with a K, of course. And then we have podcasts. We have a YouTube channel. And then I have this crazy newsletter that's free that goes out every single day to over 500,000 folks.
Great.
And that covers. That's there to make sure that everybody knows what's going on that particular day. Because it seems like lately it's like data breach of the moment, scam of the day, and then also you have artificial intelligence and trying to figure out if your business is going to survive in the age of AI. I mean, it's just, so what I do is I don't do tech support. And so if you need like steps on how to do something, you should probably just Google that. But if you're looking for trusted advice, that's where I come into play. And I also write for USA Today and the Daily Mail and Fox News, and all that other stuff that goes with it.
So in other words, you never sleep.
Yeah. You know what? When you love what you do, I mean, this is really great for me. I mean, I love what I do. And also, it gives me the opportunity to help people and to make a difference in their lives. And every single day, Clark, honest to goodness, every single day I hear from somebody who says thank you. Isn't
that a great feeling?
It's you know what, it really is. And sometimes it could be like helping a food bank figure out a phone tree. It could be helping a business, like a person who's a mechanic who has 3 employees and he's trying to figure out how to pay the employees, or a farmer who's trying to take his goods to a farmer market and how do I get paid doing that. I have a woman that I helped. Her daughter was getting stalked, and from a guy that she met on Tinder, and the mom called me because the daughter explained to her how she was being stalked, but the stalker put the mother's, oh my gosh, put the mother's home address and cell phone number on Pornhub and said for a good time, come on over.
No.
Okay. And she went to the cops, and the cops didn't do anything. There's a gentleman that I'm helping right now. His son unfortunately died, and he's trying to figure out how to get into the phone without destroying anything because it was a child and he wants to get some photos. I mean, so the show has morphed. I mean, in the beginning it was, Clark. It was all about like, what should I buy and how do I use it? And now it's more, I guess you'd say, digital lifestyle type stuff.
Well, that brings me right to something that for you is an easy lift and for the average person is so difficult to understand with all the data breaches and all the hacking and now the software that people can use to automatically try to break into people's accounts. Password managers is something that people do not to this moment understand
Right.
how to pick one, what not to do, how do you know a good one versus a bad one? How do you know if you should be using a paid one? How do you know if you should be using a free one? And, LastPass, which is a very respected password manager, I think they themselves have been breached twice, if I
They've been
remember
hacked.
right.
Yeah, yes, they've been hacked. I mean, and so basically, everybody needs a password, right? And the biggest mistake that people make is they make it too short. I mean, it's a running joke that any time you look at the top passwords that people use, it's always like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Password, let me in. And then they think they get tricky and they go like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then they say 7, 8. Oh, yeah, that's going to be a great one. Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
And then they use the same password all across the board. Okay. Which is ridiculous. Okay. So up comes along password managers because it's hard for you to remember a password that should be at least 12 characters, 16 characters. You want a mixture of upper and lowercase letters, a number, a symbol, a gang sign, a hieroglyphic, whatever you can throw in there, right? So people can't remember them. So up comes password managers, and they say, okay, so we're going to remember all the passwords for you, so you just have to remember one password, and that's the master password. And by the way, we're going to give you a way that you could put something in your estate document so that when you pass away, if you want people to have all your passwords, you can go ahead and designate who that person is. Okay. So password managers sounded like a really good idea until, guess what? They started getting hacked. Okay. So now what's happening is password managers are now morphing because the people who actually adopted and used password managers are the savvy ones who said, yes, I need to have different passwords, not the average Joe. So with new iOS 16 that's coming out, or pardon me, iOS 18 that's coming out with the iPhone 16 in short order here, it's going to be announced next week, is that Apple is including a password manager program right inside the iOS. And so if you're on Apple, use it. Okay. Now, if you're on Google, you want to use something that's called passkeys, and that's where we're starting to do, and Apple's going to be starting incorporating that. Passkeys will use your biometrics. So when you go to sign into something, it's going to say, oh, there's a code on your phone with a Google Authenticator app and things like that. So we're starting to using more of our biometrics, our facial ID and our phones in order to authenticate things. But if you do need a password manager, Keep Your Password is a good one for you to check out. Also, 1Password. There's also Dashlane. Those are 3 good ones. You mentioned free. Okay. The worst thing you can do is use free security software. Okay. That is like chalk on a chalkboard. Okay. Because the reason why you're getting it for free is because they're going to steal from you. Okay. So or it could be like a free VPN based in China that's capturing every single thing that you do, every keystroke. So no, that's so nothing free when it comes to internet and cybersecurity.
All right, so I want to go back to what you said early. So in your opinion, password managers are at this point a passing fad. And what you've got with iOS 18, right?
Yes. No, iOS 18.
iOS 18
Yes.
is going to be a vastly superior way for people who live in the Apple orbit to control their passwords.
Correct.
And that's about 60% of Americans, I guess, at this point are in the Apple orbit. So does this apply across their Apple devices, like on their MacBook? The iOS 18 is going to protect them.
Yes, it's all integrated. And unlike Windows and Google, Apple is a closed platform. It's a closed ecosystem. And so when you are on iOS 18 and you have things that are also synced to the cloud, okay, then if you look at KeyPass, which is basically the innards of the Apple stuff, is that's where you can see all your passwords. But it will. So if you change your password, your banking password, it's going to go ahead and infiltrate all across the board. And again, when you want to sign into your bank, it's going to say, "Oh, we need you to show your face to your phone in order to authenticate that that's actually you trying to get in there." Because we also have things that are happening on the phone too, with two-factor authentication, and that's why a lot of people are getting scammed that way. So we are at a point where if you're on Apple, like I mentioned, just use the Apple product when it comes out. But if you are on Google, look at passkeys. If you're in the whole Google environment, if you're on a Windows-based PC, that's where you probably still want to use a password manager. But again, don't use a free one. Use a good one like Keeper, Dashlane, or 1Password.
So the 40% of people who are on Android, will you explain passkeys in simple English? Because when I read about them, my eyes glaze over.
Okay. Well, when you are talking about traditional passwords, it's a string of characters, okay? And that string of characters can be guessed because a lot of people, like I said, use the same one. And then it also, if you are changing your password, it will send you a text or an email to say, click here to confirm that you needed to change your password, okay? That was pretty good security in the year 2000. But today, that doesn't work anymore because I can duplicate your phone by just pretending to be you when I call the carrier or whatever it may be, and then I can get your two-factor authentication. So with passkeys depends on biometrics and also maybe within what's called an authenticator app. And so with biometrics, of course, when you go to change your password with a passkey, it's going to say, let me see your face on your phone, or open up an app and tell me what that 6-digit is that's only good for 30 seconds. Only good for 30 seconds. So we're getting away from confirming a password change in an email, getting away from what's your mother's maiden name as a security question, because that's just dumb, and getting more into other ways where we are saying who we are by our face, maybe by our voice, which I don't believe anybody. If you have voice authentication turned on any of your accounts, you should turn that off. I know a lot of people love that, but you want to turn that off. So we are in the middle of taking our own security, our personal security, to the next level right now, and it's going to change a lot over the next, probably 12 to 18 months because of AI. AI is making a lot of things better, but it's also making things a lot easier for scammers.
It's also what you're talking about, though, with the passkeys and with the iOS 18 is finally going to, for once, make it easier for consumers to have a secure environment than what we've had in forever. And I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, no, and it had to happen. It definitely had to happen.
Well, thank you so much for that explanation, because you did that so much better than I stumble through when people call and ask me those questions. So I really, really appreciate that. And coming straight ahead, Kim, I've got some questions for you that are very specific ones people have asked about technology that you are the perfect person in America to answer. It's such an exciting day for me that Kim Komando is sharing her incredible expertise with my audience on my podcast. And it's just such a great day for me, Kim, to have this opportunity to share microphones with you. And I hope
Thank you, Clark.
someday we get to not virtually be together, but we get to see each other and hang out together. So
I
see
don't
if
know.
that can
You
happen.
know what? I don't know if that's going to happen because you're going to want to go to like the early bird special at 3:00 to save money on a meal. And I'm gonna be
No,
like,
I'm going to
no,
want to go
let's-
to In-N-Out and order off the secret menu and have the 3x3.
What's the 3x3?
Oh, you got to look at the secret menu to know.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
So, Kim, I got some questions for you that we've received from people. The first one is from Stephanie in Ohio, and she actually has two questions for you today. She has an idea for an app. I've seen online app building websites that claim they're free. Regardless of whether they're free or not, I don't want to be robbed of my idea. Do you recommend using a free app building website, or do you have companies you think I should be using specifically for it? And also, the second question, would the companies be different for building a social media platform for her and potentially the app? So whatever input you have for Stephanie would be great.
Okay. First of all, there are over, 2 million apps in the App Store. Okay. I personally would never develop a social media app simply because there's just too much competition. You have the big dogs that are doing it. If you build it, they won't come. Okay. And look at just the impact that Facebook has. I mean, Elon Musk can't make X work, which is like a whole nother issue. But you also have messaging apps built in to your device, whatever it is. I mean, Apple, Android, Samsung, whatever it is, and they have their own messaging apps. So, we always said like nobody could dethrone Google, but yes, AI is dethroning Google and websites are changing. But I would really look at the business plan and see what the competition is. Because when you're developing an app and when you're talking about people's content, what a lot of people don't realize is that you're now governed by regulations. And that's called the California Consumer Protection Act, CCPA, which puts a lot of constraints and it's going to add a lot of expense to a social media app, and GDPR, which is coming out of Europe. And that CCPA is not just California, by the way, that's 7 states. Okay, so really, number one, from a business perspective, look at what is out there, who you're competing against, who is the audience. Okay, and if you can really specialize that audience and not try to be all things to all people, you might have a chance of success. Like if we take a look at dating apps, of course, there's always Grindr and Hinge and Bumble and all the other ones. But there are also people that are making a lot of money with dating apps that are just for farmers. Okay, dating apps just for people of a certain religion. Okay, so if you can focus that social media app on just one particular thing, you may have some success. Okay, so now let's say all this is going to be great, and you're like, yes, I'm going to be a trillionaire based on all of this. Okay. You can use some platforms like AppyPie, A-P-P-Y, AppyPie. Another one's called Thunkable. There's another one called Bubble.io. And Bubble.io is actually probably the one that's going to be more specific for you because it allows you to build some other things. Some more sophisticated apps is what I mean. And anytime you talk about free, well, that means that they are getting paid somehow. And so it may be free up to a certain level. They may be collecting data on all your users, which if you have a social media type of app, you're going to want to collect the data because you're going to want to make money on the data. And that data collection is controlled by what I mentioned, the CCPA and all the other states. And they do make that fairly easy for you to kind of point and click and build an app. You might be better served, like our Komando app is not, we did not build our Komando app. We actually we had somebody who builds like just news apps, and then we pay them a fee every month to use their platform, but it looks like it's from us. So there are different ways to do this. And if you're concerned about your IP, intellectual property, then what you want to do is make sure that you go see an IP lawyer first and fill out whatever forms that they say. And really, when you start looking at these create an app platforms, is you really need to make sure that you look at the terms and conditions, because you may be giving up your IP if you're not really, really careful.
Thank you. You gave Stephanie a lot to deal with, a lot to think about.
There's a lot. There's a lot.
So we have Isabel in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And she says, please share your thoughts on DuckDuckGo in place of Google. It's so challenging to find so many ads or info show up when I'm searching online. Wants to know if DuckDuckGo really is a much better outlet for a privacy source than using Google.
Well, we all know that Google tracks, right? Every single thing. And if you're wondering how much Google knows about you, is that you go to myactivity.google.com, myactivity.google.com, and there you'll see who they think you are. And based on what is in your email, what you search for, the videos that you watch. Because of what I do, it was really funny, Clark, is that when I did this, I don't know, probably about 6 months ago, because I was writing about it for something or whatever, is it said that I was a 50-year-old man. And I'm like, nope. Because, I look at planes and cars and, probably, I guess you'd say, traditional guy stuff. I don't know. So Google tracks every single thing. And so DuckDuckGo comes out and they say, all right, we are not going to track you. Okay. Which they don't. Okay. They have sponsored ads at the top, but they're not going to keep a whole dossier on what you do. Now, what happens, though, is, in my experience, is that I don't always get the best results from DuckDuckGo. And so what I use is another site called StartPage. And so with StartPage, it's also free, and they don't track you. They also sell some ads along the way. But StartPage actually buys the search results from Google, and that's how you get the search results. So you're really using Google, but you're using StartPage without. So you're getting Google without the tracking, is the bottom line. So if you're finding that DuckDuckGo is not giving you maybe the answer on the first page of the search results, is that you might want to also use something called StartPage. There's also Brave Search that is relatively new. And then there's another one called Ecosia, and this one's interesting, is that they don't track you, but they're going to plant a tree for so many search results. Not really sure who's behind that one, but anyway, it's, the tracking, everywhere you go, it's being tracked. It's just part of using the internet.
So that brings up something that no one asked, but I want to ask you as a quick follow-up. Using Gmail versus using other mail services like Proton or something like that.
Hushmail,
Are people making a mistake using Gmail because of the lack of privacy involved with it?
Look, it's free, right?
Right.
And so many people have a Gmail account, but you are being tracked. And every single thing that pops up, words that are popping up in your Gmail, is being put into some dossier. I had the opportunity to interview somebody who's really big in the Internet Advertising Bureau. And I asked him, I said, I heard that there are like 28,000 different data points on every single American. And he said, you're wrong. And I said, well, what is the number? He said, infinite. And I said, infinite. And he said, every time you go online, you're adding more data points. Okay, so if you're concerned about Gmail and you don't want to get rid of your Gmail address for whatever the reason, I know I don't because I've had it for since 1999 and I don't think I could ever get my Gmail address if I wanted it back, is that you can use Proton Mail, Hush Mail, Start Mail, which is they used to be part of Start Page, but Start Mail, is that they will give you an encrypted email address, all the aliases and everything that you need. But you're going to pay for it. It's because, somebody has to, you have to pay your bills and you have to make money as a company. And every once in a while people say to me like, why are there ads in the newsletter? Well, because we got to pay we got to pay bills in order to give you all this free information.
Well, let's go to the last question. You mentioned California several times today. This is from Marie in California. And she's using an iPhone 7 Plus that's mostly in great condition and working order. She's held off buying a new phone as much as possible. Obviously, she's on a 7 Plus. She's held off a long time.
Okay, when that came out? 2016.
No. Which is that's like prehistoric times in technology, isn't it?
Okay, I don't know this woman. But I'm telling you, she's wearing her shoes from the 1980s still. I mean,
good for her.
Happening.
So she's bought a replacement battery. The time's coming. She has to purchase a new phone because she's not going to get updated anymore. Certain apps aren't working anymore. She wants to know when is the best time to buy an iPhone, where is the best place to buy an iPhone, and she says she's happy to buy a newer one, but not a new one.
Okay. Let's talk about best time to buy. Worst time to buy is right now.
Right.
Okay. Right before a new one comes out. Because that's when, you're just kind of putting yourself into a planned obsolescence. I mean, every device has what's called an end of life. And unfortunately, this iPhone 7 Plus, the end of life is now because she's not getting any more updates, and you don't want to ever use a device that doesn't have any other updates. So now we're looking at the iPhone 16. So we're going to see some deals on the 13, 14s, and 15s, probably around Black Friday, Cyber Monday. That's always a good time to buy a phone. And then, of course, the carriers, they always have all these deals, which you've got that calculator on your website that people can always use to find all the best deals. As far as where to buy a used phone, if you're going to buy an older phone, I am a real stickler with this. And I know that you can go to Gazelle and Swappa, and you can also go on Amazon and buy refurbished gear and things like that. But if you wanted to buy a brand new iPhone to you, maybe that would be a 13. I would probably say go with a 13. She's going to keep this for a long time. So, and the iPhone will probably last anywhere between 5 and 7 years. That's just the general rule of thumb. Is I like to send people to apple.com. And then if you scroll to the bottom, you see a link that says refurbished. And then when you buy it from Apple refurbished, you know that they're going to put a new battery in, a new screen, and you're not going to be buying somebody's junk that slammed on the ground a few times. And so that's where I would go.
Well, thank you very much. I was very curious about that because the used iPhone market has become a huge market worldwide.
For sure.
And there are a lot of people who are in the iPhone orbit. They don't want to spend $1,800 on the latest, greatest iPhone Pro Max, whatever. And I love that you gave the number. So this case, 13 is not an unlucky number. It's the lucky number. That's as far back as you want somebody to go.
Yes, exactly. But really, if you could go to the 14, we're on the 16. If you could go to the 14, and the reason why is that's where you start getting some of the additional features like SOS. And so if you are out of range and there's no cell towers and you have an emergency, is that you're able to at least, send a text message out to authorities and with your exact location. And so that if that's something like if you're a hiker and you're always, out and about, that's something that you definitely want to take a look at and keep in mind.
Well, Kim, thank you so much. This has been such a pleasure to get to visit with you. And thank you so much because you and I do completely different things, but we do it for the same reason, to empower people, to teach them,
Right.
to have them make good choices. And I'm just grateful to you for sharing your expertise with my audience today on my show.
Oh, anytime, Clark. Really. This is fun. This is great. And anytime you want to have me back, just call and I'm at your disposal. I'm right here for you.
And Kim, I want people to know who are like, gosh, that woman knows a lot about technology. Komando.com is the central nervous system where they should go
Correct.
to connect to everything you offer. Is that right?
Yes, it's spelled with a K, Komando. So many people, it's like they want to spell with a C and two M's, and and I've heard this for years. You go Commando, Yes, no, it's Komando with a K. It's Komando, or you can search for Komando in your favorite podcast player. But I really would love everybody to just try my free newsletter, and when you go to Komando.com, there's a big red button that says free newsletter.
Well, that is wonderful. Well, have a great, great rest of your day. And thanks for all the advice, both money saving and practical. Appreciate it. Have a great day.
You too. Thanks, Clark.